Help me, I'm Amanda Berry.
The 911 call played around the world 10 years ago. Utter shock turned to pure joy.
On an incredible night in Cleveland, a night where you can truly believe that miracles really do happen.
The miracle. Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michelle Knight found alive, held captive just blocks from where police searched and the community prayed.
For me, it feels like a new journey, a new time, and I'm moving forward with my life.
Each of them now on a special mission to give back and be beacons of hope.
Believe, have hope, have faith. And this is what May 6th brings to me. I never left my faith. I never gave up hope.
Join us now as we share the tragedy to triumph.
Tonight, we are remembering the miracle in Cleveland. 10 years ago, Gina DeJesus, Amanda Berry, and Michelle Knight were found alive in a house that once stood right here on Seymour Avenue.
Their kidnapper, Ariel Castro, held them captive for 10 years, torturing them, abusing them, all inside what was a house of horrors on Seymour Avenue. And good evening, I'm Russ Mitchell.
And I'm Lena Lai. While their rescue took place on May 6th, tonight we are revisiting that fateful day and telling the full story from then until now on their journey from tragedy to triumph. On May 6, 2013, Cleveland witnessed a miracle.
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years and I'm here, I'm free now.
Amanda Berry calling 911 from a neighbor's phone. Police and news crews descended on Seymour Avenue in Cleveland to make the stunning realization that 3 women, Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michelle Knight, who'd been missing for a decade, had been held captive by Ariel Castro. But they were alive.
The families always had hope, and that always gave us hope.
Middleburg Heights Police Chief Ed Tomba was deputy chief for Cleveland Police at the time.
Everyone that worked on the case was a parent, and we all had a vested interest in it.
In 2003, Castro abducted Berry when she was 16. Just 5 blocks away, 1 year later, Castro kidnapped DeJesus, then 14 years old. But 2 years earlier, Castro abducted his first prisoner, Michelle Knight, then 21, from the same stretch of Lorraine Avenue. However, sadly, no one had reported her missing. The 3 young women suffered unimaginable torture, locked and hidden in Castro's home.
The windows had curtains on them, and then there was doors nailed behind those curtains that you couldn't get off.
And no one, not one mail carrier, garbage worker, meter reader, or any neighbors suspected a thing.
He was a devious person. Physical abuse, there was mental abuse too. And like I said, you have to remember, these are 3 young girls.
But in one brave moment while Castro was away, Berry escaped through an unlocked door. Police found all 3 women, along with Berry's 6-year-old daughter, fathered by Castro during captivity.
She never saw anybody was going on at that house, Your Honor.
Castro was sentenced to life in prison plus 1,000 years. 1 month later, he hanged himself in his prison cell. However, despite tragedy, the 3 women would triumph, each pursuing their passions and cultivating a path to the happiness they so deserve.
And tonight we continue to tell the stories of those incredible women. We begin with Michelle Knight. She now goes by Lily Rose Lee and says she lives and breathes her passion, helping animals in need. She told us her nonprofit, which is called Unleashed Animal Rescue, has saved her in more ways than one. Laura Queso has the story.
And the greatest gift I can give that animal is the forever home they so desperately need.
Because she says she witnessed constant animal abuse from Castro.
He brought animals into the house and he either starved, beat them, or otherwise did harm to them in unimaginable ways. And each one of them perished.
And then her kidnapper got her a puppy named Rudolph.
The first time I actually tried to run is the time that he gave me a puppy and he broke the puppy's neck right in front of me. And it slammed me on the back of my neck, losing the only best friend that I had. And every day of every hour, I pray for that little one.
Rudolph inspired her to give these animals the best care that she can.
No, 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 you're not gonna take you away. No, no, no.
She won't give up on them.
He is labeled unadoptable because of his aggression problems.
His prior owner abused him. It's an unwanted bond she shares with these animals.
I make sure that I'm ready and able to take them in.
And her husband, Miguel, of 8 years, is her biggest supporter.
I see her grow from all this, and she has moved on from a lot of things that, you know, she had a hard time with just dealing with.
Hi, mummies.
For Lily, the animals help her reflect in the best way of what life was and what life can be when you are loved and protected. A second chance. She got one. Her backyard, the sky, the green grass are constant reminders.
But it's also your home. I mean, that's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it's definitely, I would say, it's the most pure joy that I have had in quite some time. Now I have found exactly what I want out of life, exactly who I want to be. I'm a strong and powerful woman, has a voice that will inspire the world.
And Lily continues to support survivors of domestic abuse and child abuse. She has spent many years traveling the country, offering support to survivors.
You'll remember Gina DeJesus was just 14 years old when she was abducted. However, she is using her experience to help others in the same situation. Christy Paul sat down with her family.
For 6 years, Gina DeJesus lived in one of the darkest places to which anyone could go, physically, mentally, or emotionally. Held against her will, trapped in a house just 2 blocks from her family. Part of the miracle of her escape is what she's built from it, the Cleveland Family Center for Missing Children and Adults. It's her mission in tangible form to help other families suffering the same anguish, searching for someone they love. Gina's mother, Nancy, tells me that mission was born through the mental torture of her captor, who was so sinister. He wanted her to know how her family was suffering without her.
It was her. This was her idea. It was because he made her watch us on TV every time we were on TV. In every anniversary or every year, he would make her watch it. So she would see us giving out flyers, candles, praying, the march. This gave her hope. And she knew we were out there for her. And this is why she came up with the office, because she knew we suffered.
And because so many knew Gina suffered, when she asked, people came to help. Most everything in this space was donated, furniture and resources to fill spaces offering comfort, warmth, and support to families like Gina's. But these families are still searching. Nancy tells us for her, the key was faith and not listening to what everyone else believed. She says even good-intentioned people were telling her they spotted Gina all over the world.
She was in Afghanistan, she was in Iraq. So she was everywhere, except the truth. She was two and a half blocks down the street. So don't believe what people say. You have to go with your instinct, go with the law enforcement.
Nancy says while they tried to help Gina recover, Gina actually helped them understand what she needed. And that is why they're so uniquely equipped to do what they do.
We're the middle person between them and law enforcement, and we help them understand what law enforcement will and will not do and how to manage that. And then we try to get them partnered with other families who've been going through some of the things that they've gone through, right? So Gina's family is one of those families.
Sylvia Colon, co-founder and executive director of the center, says in addition, they make flyers, help families get counseling, and remind them of one thing Sylvia says they forget most: the activities of daily living.
What does it mean to get up and eat something, brush your teeth, brush your hair, take a shower? So we do a lot of check-ins.
Gina's family and the volunteers are the calm in a swirling storm for parents and others desperately searching for the missing piece of their family. And their efforts work. They've helped find people and bring them home, in large part with the tool they didn't have when Gina was kidnapped. Social media, they say, is one of their superpowers.
Our very first case, he was 13 years old. and the father had custody, and they couldn't find him. But because of the fact that we were constantly posting, constantly just having it up, his friends would see it. And what was amazing about that reunion was he was missing, I believe, for 9 days. And we found him on May 6th, which was like, it was weird because Gina was missing for 9 years and they escaped on May 6th. It was kind of a like, okay, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
As for the third woman who was rescued, Amanda Berry, she's also moving on with her life, joining Gina as an advocate for missing children and adults. Berry works for Fox 8, hosting a missing persons segment, working with law enforcement to bring awareness to cases across Northeast Ohio. Her daughter Jocelyn is now 16. She and Gina also wrote a book together. Next, a Cleveland police officer recalls the moments he came face to face with Amanda, Gina, and Michelle as he rescued them from that house on Seymour Avenue.
And I talked with one of the first deputies who interrogated Ariel Castro the day after Castro was arrested. More to come. Stay with us.
I told her we've been looking for you for a long time, and I told her she was safe.
May 6th, 2013. It was 5:52 p.m. That is the moment Cleveland police got the call. Amanda Berry escaped from the house where she'd been held captive for 11 years.
Tonight we speak to the former Cleveland police officer who was the first to come face to face with Amanda, Michelle, and Gina. It was a day that he says will never leave him. Here's Laura Queso.
May 6th was a pretty much normal day. It was a beautiful day. I think it was in the 70s.
Veteran Cleveland police officer Anthony Espada can remember every detail from that day. He was near the West Side Market with his partner, Mike Tracy, when they got the call.
We got that Code 1 call coming down that there was a female on the phone, that her name was Amanda Berry.
With lights and sirens, the officers headed to the scene.
You know, I see this female holding a child, but for some reason the child wasn't connecting. And as our zone car was approaching, she started approaching on the driver's side where Mike was driving. I asked again, you know, is it her? Is it her? And he looked at me like he just saw a ghost.
They knew it was her. Her eyebrow ring gave it away, he said.
She was just pale and thin. You know, I asked her name, and she said her name was Amanda Berry. It was like an unbelievable feeling, all those years of her being missing, and now she's standing right there in front of you alive.
Amanda kept pointing to 2207 Seymour, and the officers thought Ariel Castro, their captor, was still inside. Espada ran into the house and tried to get the screen door open, but there was a chain welded from the door to the door frame. So he crawled through the same space, the screen door Amanda had squeezed through moments earlier when she escaped.
I immediately saw stairs off to my right. There was a outdoor swing set that was blocking the stairwell, preventing anybody from going upstairs or coming down. But I went ahead and just grabbed the swing set, and with all my strength, I just pulled it. There's a curtain that was blocking the second floor, so I couldn't see behind the curtain. I didn't know if Ariel Castro was behind the curtain waiting for me, but you know, we had to take that chance.
He flicked it open. No one was there, but a big open area filled with toys. It was quiet and dark.
And then off to the left, there was a door open. It was a bedroom with a light on, with a mattress.
They continued to yell out, "Cleveland police." Then a head peeked out of the door.
And then without warning, running towards me, jumped onto me, screaming in my face, "You saved us, you saved us. My name is Michelle Knight."
And then he saw another shadow go across another doorway.
She was afraid to come out. I walked up to her and I asked her what her name was. And she said, "My name is Georgina De Jesus."
He took a moment before he could broadcast to his colleagues who he'd found.
And I keyed the mic and I said to Adam 23, the radio, "We found him. We found him."
Does 10 years feel more like yesterday to you?
I could see it clearly, like it just happened.
Their life started that day, May 6th, and Officer Espada's life changed forever too.
As a reminder, I got that date tattooed on my arm, right here. May 6th, 2013, at 5:52 p.m. is when we got the call. They basically changed my life. Not only changed my life, it changed their lives.
Espada retired after 25 years of service. He says he still keeps in touch with the other officers.
Of course, the man behind all of this, Ariel Castro, is dead. You recall just a few weeks into his life sentence, he hung himself in his jail cell. But let's go back to the day after he was arrested. Now retired Cayuga County Sheriff's Deputy Dave Jacobs was one of the first to interrogate him. Recently, I asked Detective Jacobs about that conversation.
He was relieved. He was relieved that it was over. The night he was arrested, we spoke to him the next morning. I believe it was probably mid-afternoon. He had some time to think about it, but in so many words, he was relieved that it was over. I read where he told you in that first meeting, "I know what I did was wrong." Did you believe him? I did. I do believe that he realized what he had done wrong. I just don't think that he had the wherewithal to get out of the situation he put himself in. But I think that, overall, I do believe that he understood that what he did was wrong. It sounds like, just from reading it from the outside, that he was in a sense of denial as well. One thing he said in that meeting was, "These women lived a happy life. We had a lot of harmony that went on in that home." I say denial, or did he really think that was what was going on in that house? I truly believe in his own mind he had thought that. You use the word denial, I use the word delusional. He did minimize some of the things that happened while in captivity, but in his own mind, somewhere along the lines, he convinced himself that they lived harmoniously together. I understand he also said, "These people are trying to paint me as a monster. I'm not a monster, I'm sick." As someone who spoke with him face to face, do you think he was a monster? I think what he did would constitute that over the span of 11 years. I do think that he was very conscious of the perception of himself outside of his own house. He expressed some concerns that, he would be construed as a monster. I believe that his perception was important to himself and how other people perceived him. Yeah. Was there anything about him that you found sympathetic? No. And I say that because of some of the statements that he made to us during the interview, where he minimized and he used words as "we lived as a happy family." So those things struck me a little bit differently. Yeah, can you relate some of the other things he said to you that interview that stick out even now, 10 years later? Well, I did. The one thing that always stood out to me was I had asked him, what was your end game? What was a way out for you? And he looked at me and he said, "I'm not a killer." And I was thankful for that. I think everybody involved was thankful for that. I just don't think that he didn't feel as if he could get out of the situation he put himself in. And that's why I said it seemed like he felt like he was relieved that it was over, that he was finally caught, and move on. You're retired now. Correct. When it comes to your career and the cases that you covered, the cases you handled, where does this one rank in terms of importance, in terms of what stays in your mind? At the top, no question. And I was fortunate to work on the FBI Violent Crimes Task Force, where we were exposed to a lot of high-profile cases. But I would say that this is at the top of the list, and second place is a long way away.
And welcome back to our Miracle in Cleveland special here on Front Row. May 6, 2013, a day people in Cleveland will never forget. In fact, it's probably one of those days where people remember where they were when they heard that information. You and I covered the story. We were there that night. And what I remember is you were one of the first reporters there on the scene. What do you remember about that?
Well, you're right. It was a snapshot moment. You know, we didn't believe what we were seeing. We initially heard the radio call. And, you know, we were dispatched to Seymour Avenue. Yeah, we heard there was a 911 call, somebody saying they were Amanda Berry. And we're like, yeah, right. Mm-hmm. But then we get there, and I saw Gina's mom, Nancy, being escorted by police. And this is not a hoax.
The real thing.
This is the real deal.
Yeah, I remember being there and just seeing what I think at the time I described as joyous disbelief.
Yeah.
Everybody was so happy. They couldn't quite grasp it at the moment. And one thing that came to mind to me when we were doing it, you saw that picture of us doing our live shot on somebody's porch, by the way. There are times in life where you give up on hope. And I think it just kind of came to me, if there is ever a time in your life when you do that, you don't have hope, you have to go back to this glorious day in May, May 6, 2013, because that showed you that there's always hope out there.
Yeah, and if you get anything from any of our coverage, it is that hope.
Definitely. We are coming right back. Stay with us.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. 3 News is back at 11.
We're going to continue to bring you stories marking 10 years since the miracle in Cleveland all week long. Entertainment Tonight is up next. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.